Hey kids, today we are going to learn about arrays and joining text together in strings. How are we going to learn about this? Well, we are going to create a Mad Libs game. You remember Mad Libs, kids? This is that thing you probably did during summers when you were really bored. They had you pick a bunch of random words and then you fill in those random words into a story and it creates a silly story. We are going to learn how to do that. And we're going to do that by storing the user input. If you remember our last project, we stored just one piece of information. That was somebody's age. If we want to store multiple pieces of information, we're going to have to use something called an array. What's an array, you ask? This right here is an array. It is simply just an index of things. Those things can be numbers, words, positions, whatever you like. Arrays is like the index in your book, probably your math book. You've went back there and it has the questions listed in order with answers, and those are just simply positions. That's all an array is. It's just a list of things. If you can see here, my array size is 5. But if you look, the index says it is only 4. Why is that? Well, if you think about how we've learned to use numbers in this class, numbers go from 0 to 9, since there is no 10 number in a 10-base system, we have to start at 0. Just like we count in coding and binary, we are starting the same way here. This is a very common mistake I see at all levels of my computer science classes. Just remember, everything starts at. How are we going to store this information? Well, over in our variable, we can actually make a list. And by making a list, and we're going to call our list words. We're going to use this for all our sprites. We can add things, delete things, do a bunch of things into this bucket of words here. If you want this bucket to disappear, just simply uncheck it. It's not going to affect anything. We're going to keep it up here just to show you right now. What we're going to do is we're going to ask the user to input 4 different words here into our list, and then we're going to recall out of that list or array to form a sentence. And we're going to be learning about the join command a little later. Best way always to see what happens is to actually code this out. I'm going to use just a silly little cat here. I'm not going to change it. My Mad Lib here is going to be relatively short. I'm only going to have 4 items, but I'm going to recall one of them twice. Mine simply just says once upon a time, character lived in North Royalton. Character was an old and adjective person. Not that I have to remind you kids, but we always want to keep this clean and nice. It's always nice to be nice. One day they wanted to go somewhere exciting, like place. But then, problem you have happened. What I have to do is I have to get the user input for these 4 things. Store it, and then I have to recall it in this sentence. Sounds pretty simple, right? How do you think we're going to do that? I think first we have to initialize our program by the green flag. We have to ask a question then. And the first one is going to be a character. We're asking for a character. Now, what are we going to do with this input? Well, if we go back down to variable, we can see that we have these new blocks here. And one of them is insert thing at number 1 of words. Our array starts at 0. We're going to place ours to 0. What is this thing that we want to insert though? Well, just like the Guess Your Age game, we want to get the answer. That means when this flag is clicked, we're going to ask this question, wait, and insert this answer at 0. Let's see this actually in real life. I'm going to put a broadcast here at the end. My message is going to be end. When I receive end, I want to say, and we'll do this just for 2 seconds right now. What are we going to say? Well, we want to say in our variables here, we can actually point to item 0 of words. Should say whatever I store in there. Let's try it out, kids. Hit the green flag, character. I'm going to type in, I think I'm going to use one of my favorite captains of all time, and that is Captain Cisco. If you don't know who that is, Google is available to you kids. Hit check. When I receive end, I should say item 0 of words. Well, here's a little when the real world doesn't meet the Scratch world. Even though we talked about indexes starting at 0, in Scratch they actually start at 1. So this is one of those where Scratch is slightly different in the coding world. So just be careful of that. Now if I put my 1s in there, let's go ahead and start. Let me put in my character again, Captain Cisco. And there you go. It is now stored. Here's another thing you're going to notice. This word isn't going to go away. We actually need to delete this out. And you will notice down here, we have a little block that says delete all words. That means every time we hit the green flag, it'll delete our words. We're going to keep it right here right now. This might cause a problem down the road, but we'll catch in. So that's my first part. If we remember back here, I need now an adjective. I'm going to go back over to sensing, ask a question, and it's going to be adjective. I should probably put a little wait over here to give the user a second after it. So our block of code will look something like that. Ask here, we are going to insert this answer. At number 2. That means we're storing adjective at number 2 in our list of words. Hit broadcast. It should say it down here. We'll get to that in a second. That is 2 down. We have 2 more to go. I'm going to do another wait at the end of this. Ask another question. That question is going to be a place. And we are going to insert that answer into place 3 of words. One more to do. Again, I'm going to wait a second. Ask a problem you can have. Insert that answer. At what part we are going to insert that to number 4 of words. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we should be able to store those and then recall those down here. If you look, I really can't do anything down here to put my words in. How are we going to do that? I alluded to this earlier. If we go to our operators, you will see join. And while I do love apples and bananas, what we can do is join sentence strings. I'm going to copy my first part in here. Once upon a time. I'm going to come over here, paste that in. Once upon a time, this should come in. Let's test this out before we get too far. Let's hit our green flag, character, that is Captain Cisco. I cannot spell today, kids. Let's copy that for future use. Hit check. It's going to ask for an adjective. We have no way to display it. Once upon a time, Captain Cisco. You can see how that worked then. We can start stringing more things together using this join. So this becomes this part right here. And then, by using more joins, copy this second part here. This part, we are going to go lived in North Royalton. Make sure we get these in the right ones. Lived in North Royalton. We have to use our character again. We're going to use join again. I know we're going to use it a bunch, kids. And we have to go to our variable, and we are going to do item 1 again. Copy this part. Was old, so you can see it's starting to come in there. We got to do another join, kids. I know. That actually goes into this part. We put that right there. We need one more join for this one. This last word is person. So this is going to be person. And this is going to be our variable item number 2. And this big long thing here, and we should say it a little longer than 2 seconds, let's do it 5, should spit out the first sentence, but only words 1 and 2. Let's try it out, kids. Oop, we copied that over. Let's see if I can spell one more time. So Captain Cisco, an adjective. Bald. We're not going to do the last 2 because we don't have any way to recall it. And there you go. You'll notice it kind of cramps together. You got to remember to put your spaces in here. It'll read it literally. Let's try that one more time. Captain Cisco, bald, and you can see our sentence starting to form together. I would break this up so these don't get too long. So this says this part for 5 seconds. How do we do that? Well, we're going to repeat what we did before. So we're going to go to say. We're going to go to our operators and join. And this one's relatively easy because we only need 1. Well, technically, there's a period at the end, so we should do periods. This one is going to be the variable number 3. I'm going to go down to item number 3 of words. I'm going to say this one for 4 seconds. 1 more to go. Copy and paste that. Going to come back up here to say our operator join. We have but then and happened at the end. Delete that part. 1 join. Happened. Give it a space. Put that in here. This has a space after it. And we have to insert our variable, our last variable, number 4, in there. We'll say this for 4 seconds as well. As always, kids, the first one is the hardest. Let's give this a try. Character, Captain Cisco, adjective bald, exciting place, Cleveland, and a problem you can have, homework. Once upon a time, Captain Cisco lived in North Royalton. Captain Cisco is an old and bald person. One day he wanted to go somewhere exciting, like Cleveland, but then homework happened. If we look back, we have 2 more sentences. So I think we should treat them both like a separate line of code. There you go, kids. Looks like our Mad Libs worked pretty well. We have our words stored here. If we don't want to see those words, we can just uncheck this box here. That'll turn it off. But it's very helpful to see what we're storing as we do it. Going back over this code just to understand what we did. When the green flag is clicked, first we're going to delete all the words in our list. So we start with a fresh list. We're going to ask a character. We're going to insert the answer the user into a list of what position, the number 1 position. Remember, this is different than arrays, that it doesn't start at 0. This one's going to start at 1. We're going to wait 1 second. We're going to ask the user for an adjective. We're going to insert their answer into number 2 of the list. Wait a second. We're going to ask the user for a place. Insert that answer to the 3rd spot of words. Wait a second. Ask a problem you can have. Insert that user's answer into number 4 of the list. That list is over here. We are then going to broadcast the message end. When the message end is received, we're going to say, and this is a string joined together. Once upon a time, item number 1 that is stored right here lived in North Royalton, and this is joined together or string together. And we are going to, again, access that number 1. Since it's stored, we can keep recalling it. Over here, we are going to continue our sentence, join together number 2 of the array. That's my first sentence, and it's going to say it for 5 seconds. The second sentence is going to join or string together the text, one day they wanted to go somewhere exciting, like It's going to go over, see what's stored in number 3 of our list for 4 seconds. Finally, it's going to do the same thing again. We have 3 parts string together, the sentence but then, the item number 4 in the array, and finally happened. And that's going to say it for 4 seconds as well. And that's it, kids. That's the Mad Lib. What are you going to be doing? Yours is going to be a little longer. You have to have 2 nouns, 1 plural noun, 2 verbs, 1 plural verb, 1 adjective, 1 name, 1 place. As always, yours has to have some sort of theme. Please don't pick the cat like I do. And, not that I have to say it again, keep it clean and respectful. It's always nice to be nice, kids. As always, if you have any questions, come see me, but that is the project. Good luck. I cannot wait to see what you code.